Now, global leaders from both politics and business are meeting once again at Davos, Switzerland for the annual World Economic Forum. At the same time, the Anti-Poverty and Development Organization Oxfam is out with their annual report on wealth inequality. Lars Holter is with DW and joins me from Berlin. Hi Lars, good to have you. What's in the report?
Thanks for having me. Well, it's not entirely surprising, but indeed wealth inequality is still on the rise, meaning not only is it a huge problem, but the gap between the rich and the poor is indeed growing once again, as it has been every single year going back decades. And the numbers are truly shocking. Oxfam says that the world's roughly 3,000 billionaires currently hold a combined fortune of $18.3 trillion. That's up more than 80% over the past 5 years. And looking at last year's growth rate alone, billionaire wealth grew by about 16%. And not only is that a lot more than average people's wealth growth, but it is also 3 times faster than the average rate of growth in previous years. So the rich are not only getting richer, but they are indeed getting richer faster. Meanwhile, according to Oxfam, nearly half of the global population continues to live in poverty. The most shocking line in the report, the world's 12 richest individuals now own more wealth than the poorest half of the global population, or more than 4 billion people.
Also, Lars, who are those at the very top of the list, the very richest?
Well, most of them are household names. Most of them are from the US. Is Elon Musk, Tesla CEO, and worth almost $350 billion. And a prime example for how things have been getting out of control. Musk, you might remember, was awarded a $139 billion pay package late last year. And that's not in that number he's currently in the books with. That would be additional. And Musk is also a prime example for how money buys influence. In his case, we just have to think back to last year when Musk took over large parts of the US government, slashing costs in different departments, including social services and health programs, with no real mandate at all other than his close relations and financial donations to US President Trump. But moving on down the list, the very richest also include the Silicon Valley bosses, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison is there, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, each of them worth way north of $100 billion.
Also, Lars, what does Oxfam suggest should change in an effort to fight wealth inequality?
Well, I don't think that at this point anyone at Oxfam or elsewhere for that matter is very optimistic that anything will change. But Oxfam has, of course, argued for higher wealth taxes for decades. Other than that, they resort to dark humor. Their report uses some bizarre equations to illustrate how far out of balance everything is. They're saying, for example, that in fact the 4 richest men in the world are worth more than all the cows on the planet would cost combined. Obviously, with hunger still being a terrible threat to people's lives in many parts of the planet. They also calculated that the world's billionaires could buy more than 600 billion Labubu collectible figures, and that it would take nearly 6 million years to unpack them all. But back to being serious, they're saying that billionaires technically earn an average of $6,000 doing a 20-minute power nap, or that Elon Musk would have to give away $4,500 per second to actually see his wealth go down. Are we hopeful to see this escalating trend change? Not really, and the World Economic Forum in Davos is the perfect illustration for it. This week, some of the richest people and many of the most powerful world leaders are meeting, along with dozens of central bank chiefs and finance ministers. And it's safe to assume that the well-connected will continue to benefit.